Welcome to Thoughts Can Change Your Life with me, Reverend Lee. I hear this all too often. People say to me, why is it I can't attract the right person? Why is it I keep having these experiences? And I go, what? You again? And the person will go, why me? Why me? I'll tell you why. It's pretty simple. We expect things to happen differently for us, but they can't, because nothing changes until we change. Do you really get what I'm saying there? That in your life, nothing will change until you change. So the power of who you're attracting into your life, the experiences you're attracting into your life, is a result of the focus that you have. You are a point of consciousness, and where you focus, that consciousness creates. And what happens is we create habits of thinking. That habit of thinking causes us to attract things like it to us and repel things that are not like it to us. That's why when someone comes to me and they say, well, Reverend Lee, I just got divorced. I'm going to go right out there and start dating because I've become a different person. And I say, no, don't do that. They say, oh, yeah, I'm changed. And I say, no, you haven't. It takes time to change you. Especially if you're like dating and you're older. Let's say you're 25 and older. You've got a mental atmosphere. Do you think you're going to change that atmosphere in a week, a month? I'd venture to say you need a year. You need a year. And not only do you need, it's not the time. It's what you're doing with that time. You're to go through 4 seasons, each of the seasons, because you've got memories attached to each of those seasons. Every holiday, every event, there's memories attached to it. You get that? And that's your consciousness. That's where your focus is. And so as you go through each of the seasons, you change what you associate with them. You become a person who is kinder. First off, kinder to yourself. Do you ever notice, let's take this in a different direction. You ever notice people who gain a bunch of weight and they lose the weight, but they gain it back and maybe even more? Why? They did the work. Yeah, but they didn't change their mental image of themselves. They didn't change the image of themselves as how they see themselves. So they go on a diet, they lose this weight, but that's not who they see in their mind's eye. In their mind's eye, they see them as a heavier person, and that weight comes back. And then what does it do? It affirms to them that they don't have the power to do it, when in fact they do. They've just not changed yet. See, I'm coming back to that one line over and over and over again. Nothing changes until you change. Let me qualify that a little bit. You can't change someone else to change your relationship with them. No, you can only change you. And if you're trying to change someone else, and I know there's a lot of people out there, and they're trying to change their partners, they're trying to change their kids, they're trying to change their parents. You can't. That change must come from within the individual. And it must be something that they truly want, that they're willing to make a decision. I'm going to change. And when you make a decision, there's no going back. But most people don't make a decision. Most people do something like, I'm going to try to be more loving. There's a difference there's a difference saying, I'm going to try to be kind and I am kind. Do you hear that? There's a huge difference there. I'm going to love myself. I'm going to try to love myself more. You hear the difference? Here's something that I know. Nothing changes until you change, right? What are you making excuses for in your life? Did you commit to doing something? And then when someone says to you, "Did you do it?" You say, "I didn't have the time. I couldn't find the time." You see, when you know who you are, when you know the power in you, when you understand that nothing changes until you change, you don't find the time. You take the time because you've decided this is important. And when you understand that, there's no more excuses because you know what's important to you. And no matter what, you take the time for you. There's nothing and no one more important in your life than you. You are a point of consciousness, and you've been given the freedom to express and to experience life however you want. And that freedom comes with knowing that nothing happens to you until you change. And you don't have to wait for a grand sign from an oracle in the sky, and you don't need to wait for a minister, an imam, a pope, a guru. You don't need to wait for anything. You just have to make a decision to change. But if you don't change, your life will continue just as it is. And you'll be asking, is that you again? How come you keep showing up in my life? And then when you have an experience like the one before, you go, why me? Well, the why me is pretty simple because you haven't decided to change. You can see I've got a theme today because I see so many people out there struggling and wanting things to be different. Here's an interesting thing. Let's talk about our body for a second. I'm talking with my friend Niranjan. Many times we've covered this subject. And my friend Niranjan is a doctor. He's a cardiovascular surgeon. And he goes into people's veins and hearts and arteries, and he puts in stents and does other things, but he heals. He's like a mechanic. He fixes it. But then he tells the people that if you don't change your diet, you'll be back. This will not fix you. Very few people change. Do you ever notice that? Do you ever know anyone who's had open heart surgery, had a stent put in, and they're fine? And then you watch, have they changed anything? Have they changed their eating habits? Have they changed how they deal with the stress in their lives? They haven't changed. They go back to the old habit. Then they say, why me? Why is this happening to me? Do you realize that one of the greatest problems right now facing people in the United States and probably a lot of the world is type 2 diabetes? And do you realize that you could eliminate it with diet? The question is, why aren't people willing to change? Why don't they understand that nothing changes until we change? I love that, McBride. McBride says, imagine my surprise at finding that after 2.5 years on my own, I'm still working on loving myself completely, discovering who I truly am, literally changing myself to the person I choose to be. It is work. And you don't have to be living on your own to change. I'm doing that every day. But the thing that I know, even though I have a partner, I know that she can't change me. She can't motivate me. Sandy goes, I love you all, but I love me the best. You should always put yourself first. I agree with you, Sandy. We must always put ourselves first because if we don't put ourselves first, we got nothing to give to anyone. You ever seen these couples? They're in relationships or families. They're in these relationships. And all it is struggle, struggle, struggle because There's no self-love in anyone there. And they're trying to squeeze juice out of a turnip. You can't squeeze love out of a vessel that doesn't have love. So we come back again. Nothing changes until you change. Here's what you got to start with before you change. What change are you willing to commit to? And is it worth it for you to commit to it? I promise you, there's a DNA within you that the desires to experience more, to expand, to grow, to love more. If you fight that DNA, it lets you know. And it's not a very pleasant experience. That DNA is pushing the law that nothing changes till you change. With that, my beautiful friends, decide who you want to be and make a decision today and start today. Take the time today to become the greatest you that you can imagine and never give up and never stop changing. You have the power. It's within you. It's always been within you. Make it a great day. Aloha.